All right, if you're like me, you always have to deal with a lot of extra fabric right here at the back waist. I'm going to show you a few ways to deal with this. And in this particular tutorial, this is going to focus on if the garment is really fitted with princess seams or darts and it ends at the waist. Say it's going into a dress or maybe a jumpsuit into pants or something. Or maybe you just really do need it to end right there at the waist. But you're getting all this extra fabric down here. Everything else is fine. You can't take it in with darts. That's not the problem. You can't let them out. It's just all this fabric just pools right here at your back waist. So I want you to make a note of how much that you need to get rid of. And I'm going to show you how to get rid of it with a pattern that's on the fold or with a center back seam. And I'm also going to show you how to deal with this if you have princess seams or a waist dart. All right, one of our only options in dealing with a scooped back waist issue that ends at the waistline, it doesn't extend past the waistline, is going to be to shorten it, which sort of puts this in a length issue, and it is. However, because this issue also presents itself in garments that are torso length, loose, fitted, princess seams, and fisheye darts, I've kind of kept it all together in this one area. So I'm going to show you how to do the adjustment on a garment that ends right here at the waist. And this is primarily for a fitted garment, but if you have a loose garment that is short like this, that goes to the waist, you can use the exact same solution. I'm going to show you a few examples. All right, so let's measure how much we want to get rid of here. And we're going to measure it right here along the center back. And because this has a dart here, we want to close the dart. That way we can maintain the shaping that we need and get that sorted out right from the beginning. So I'm going to fold my dart here, secure it with a piece of removable tape, and now we're going to measure up along the center back the amount that we want to get rid of. And I measured right here along that center back fold, and then we double it because we want the full amount. All right, so that's how much we need to get rid of. Now the trick is that we don't really want to extend past our side seam unless you're finding that the side seam is too long. For the most part, this issue is really only going to affect this lower back area here. So we need to blend this in here. The two things that make this challenging are we need a right angle here and we need a good seam transition here. So sometimes that can end up being the trickier part. So let's take our ruler, and if you have a curved ruler, you can try that too. We'll just sort of sketch something in here, and I sort of go from both sides to sort of get an idea of what I'm up against there, and then I'll just blend it in. And as long as we have finished blending by the time we get to this point right here where the seam line meets the waist seam. And there's no seam allowance on this bottom edge, so if you have seam allowance on that bottom edge, make sure that you're measuring up from the waist seam of the pattern. All right, so now we just need to make sure we have a right angle back here. And as long as we have a right angle, even for the barest of amounts, you're gonna have a nice smooth transition when you put this back on the fold. All right, this is looking pretty good. Now, if you wanted to test it, and I highly recommend that you do, I would put the front up against it. I would line it up on the seam line and just look at that line and decide if it's a nice smooth transition, if it's good enough there. And you can even hold it on top and trim it away, just like that. And then we're just making sure that this has a right angle right here. And it looks like we're good to go. So let's take our tape out, and our dart is still intact and we have the shaping. We can turn it over and see the shape there. So let's see what we did to the pattern. Let's lay it on top of the old pattern, and we can see that we trimmed all of this off right there. Exactly what we had pooling at the back waist there, and that'll help it fit a lot better. This may look really strange when you're looking at your pattern on the table, but like I always say, it doesn't matter that it looks weird. It isn't weird because it's going to fit you. And remember, patterns come to us in a very standardized shape. So looking at it is no way to judge if it's going to be correct or not. If it works for you, then it's correct. All right, let me show you on a few other patterns. So let's say we want to do this on a pattern that's princess seams, but it still ends at the waist. So we're going to overlap the seam amount right on that seam line there. We'll secure it, And same thing, we're going to measure up on the center back. And we need to blend by the time we get to this waist seam. And if we want to check it, we do the exact same things. Check that we're going to be able to make that transition in time. Just like that. And then we make sure that we have a right angle right here at center back. And we're ready to trim it. All right, and let's take our tape off here. There we go. We can see our difference there. Nothing at the side seam, and then you can see there's the amount that we took off right there. You do the exact same thing on a princess seam that goes to the armhole, and you can do these exact same changes on patterns that have a center back seam as well. Now you're going to do the exact same thing whether your pattern has a dart or it doesn't have a dart. If it stops at the waist, you can use this technique to get rid of that pooling at the center back waist there. And you can do it on cut-on and rag-ons. It doesn't really matter what the armhole style is because we're dealing with the waist here. Really, all you really need to think about is the shaping seams that you're going to interact with and if it's on the fold or center back seam. And luckily in this case, it doesn't really matter. You can do this change on a pattern that has either. Just make sure that you have a nice transition at your side seam and a right angle at your center back waist. I hope you're enjoying my Fitopedia fitting series, and if you want to get more fitting tutorials, just check the description. There's going to be links to more, and if you would like a printed version of these mini tutorials, just check the description or look under the video, and eventually you'll be able to make your own little Fitopedia booklet, and it'll be a really great, quick, easy reference to how to diagnose and fit the issue that you're working on. So I hope you're getting a lot out of the series. Please let me know, like, comment, and subscribe, and follow along for more. Thanks for watching.